What if the problem isn't you? What if you're in the wrong room? My suspicion, you're not broken and you don't need to be fixed. You have outgrown where you are. Let's get more space and freedom to redesign the life you deserve. Welcome to the Reinvention Room. I'm Allison Hare, coach for ambitious women making big changes, and we are rethinking everything we've been taught. Part pop culture, part real talk, and all smarter ways to live life on your own terms. Have you ever felt like you have a book stuck in your head, just waiting to be written, but you have no idea how to actually get it into the world? Or maybe you've started, but sheesh, work and kids keep interrupting your flow, and now it feels like you're running out of time to make it happen. If that's you, today's episode is for you. I'm talking to Ashley Mansour, a renowned book strategist who's here to show you how to stop putting off your book and finally get it done without being overwhelmed. I personally was actually really surprised, and she's kind of demystifying the process. I had a completely different perspective on writing books, which frankly kind of had me putting off the opportunity to do it myself. So Ashley's TAP method is going to help you go from idea to published author in, get this, 90 days. And doing it well. She's known to help people get on the bestseller list for the first time out. Listen, you know I'm such a big fan of speaking your truth and not wasting your one precious life in self-doubt, but being emboldened to live powerfully. You're going to be so crystal clear by the end of this episode. And also, if you know someone who has a book brewing inside them, but hadn't quite put it together yet, maybe they're putting it off, will you do me a favor and do them a favor and forward this episode, post it on your socials, smoke signals, Morse code, whatever. You never know. This episode could change both of your lives. Okay, let's get to my chat with Ashley Mansour. Okay, we are here with Ashley Mansour. Ashley, welcome to the Reinvention Room.
Thank you so much for having me, Allison. It's just an honor to be here with you.
I am beyond excited about this. We were introduced by Tia Graham, who is this incredible author herself and just a complete badass. So I always love these connections from people I really love and respect. And as I was starting to get to know you and learning more about the concept of writing a book and how daunting and overwhelming it seems, like who gets to write a book? Who should not write a book? Can you help us demystify a little bit of this process for us? And Ashley, if you wouldn't mind just giving us a little bit of your background and what you do and kind of the role you play here.
I love it. Thank you so much. Yeah. I came to this whole book coaching world through my own journey as an author and wanting to figure out for myself and demystify for myself the process. I had this dream of writing and publishing books, building a career out of that. But quite honestly, it was very mysterious how that all happened and how does one even do that successfully, get published, get readers? What does that whole thing even look like? I just sort of very naively thought you write books, you finish books, you publish books, and voila, you're on the New York Times bestseller list.
Magic. Yes.
Yeah. So I didn't go into it with a large amount of knowledge, and I had to do a lot of trial and error and quote unquote failing to figure out how it all works and really built from the ground up that way.
You are a renowned book strategist. And I think it's important to put emphasis on the word strategist because, and I work in the personal brand space. And a lot of people feel like if I just write a book and I imagine them like sitting in their basement, toiling away, putting their book together and just pouring their heart out, and they throw it up on Amazon and they're like Beyonce dropping an album at midnight, right? Like they feel like everyone is going to be excited and just tell all their friends. But right. I imagine it can be met with a lot of kind of letting the air out. What are the things that we need to know if you're considering writing a book? Is there a way to kind of set expectations around when is the right time and the expectations around becoming a best-selling author?
Yeah, that's such a important question. My belief is that if your book aims to help someone, if it has knowledge or a story or a message that can help another human being, and you feel that desire, that inner calling to do it, that's a great match. That's a great time to do it because the world needs more goodness in it. And my belief is we can put goodness in the world through our gifts, our stories, and the expertise and things we've lived through. Our lived experience is really valuable. So my job as a coach is to take that, help you wrap it up into a book and get it out there into the world. So that's what I always advise authors is, do you have the burning desire, and do you feel like your message, your story, your expertise has value? Is it going to help someone? Because if it is, and if it can, let's do it. Let's get it out there. So that's kind of how I approach the whole process. But when it comes to starting, the biggest question people have is, how do I get started? Where do I even begin with this? I've got the idea, but okay, how do I take action on that idea and start to make it a real thing? And so that's where the strategy portion comes into play, because I'm such a big believer in focusing on the foundation, the strategy, the step-by-step that makes it happen. And so again, my job is to lay that all out for people and say, here's the roadmap to success. This is the things that you need to do in this order to get your book done and to line it up to have a successful impact, in the market. And that's where we begin, right? Is really looking at, okay, who is the book for? Who's that reader we want to, make an impact on? What is the book about? The topic that they're going to care about? And why does it matter? Why is this a must-read book? And if you can't answer those three questions, don't start yet, because you're not ready. You don't have clarity to begin. So you're going to end up doing a lot of writing and a lot of toiling and work to just find the answers. So let's find the answers first, and then we'll start writing the book.
And I think even the concept of, do I have a story that is a must read? I imagine that self-doubt probably pops up pretty hardcore here. And is my story good enough or interesting enough? Or have I gone through enough trouble? And I know you work with fiction and nonfiction, which I think is really interesting.
Yeah.
How do you get over even the self-doubt that pops up of, how would I even make a dent in this landscape?
Yeah, there's so much self-doubt. There's so much lacking in confidence. I think the first place we begin is looking at the mindset and figuring out, okay, is this the only place you're doubting yourself? Are there other aspects of your life, your business, where you're doubting yourself? Because it's often what I find is they go hand in hand. And that person who lacks confidence in their story and in their message, their business is also suffering. Right? And their personal relationships suffer because they're holding back. They're selling themselves short. So it all kind of interrelates, but we need to figure out, what is the unique value I have to share that no one else has. My lived experience is not yours, is not someone else's. And truthfully, I've never met a human being that doesn't have something unique to say that is going to help other people. It's just they need to believe it. They need to own it. And then they need to get it on paper. So that's the role of the coach.
And I hear so much about the clarity, even through the self-doubt of understanding. And I think sometimes working with a coach in general, and I'm such a big fan of working with coaches, because sometimes you just need to say it out loud and have somebody hear you and say, oh, that sounds like whatever. Is that right? And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, it almost feels validating. I'm curious about your TAP method. Can you walk us through what that is? Because when I think of writing a book, I didn't realize, I kind of work in this space. So I do work with a lot of authors where, my goodness, I didn't realize how much goes into it. Can you help me understand or demystify, does it need to take years and years? What does it look like to write a book? And if you are somebody that has a ton on your plate where you're like, I don't know why this keeps coming through. Sometimes people feel like it's a God thing or something has been placed on their heart. And they're like, all right, now what? And you have a full plate. How do you start to put this together in a way that can fit into your lifestyle and not drag out for a zillion years?
That is the greatest question that every aspiring author wants to know, right? How do I do this quickly, efficiently, but also write a great book? And the TAP method is the solution to that. It's been the solution for me. It came out of my own experience of working for 3 years. I'm talking nights, weekends, like dedicating myself to this book, 3 years. I finally finished this book and I sent it out to some contacts that I had made certain. I'm like, this is it. I'm going to get published. Here we go,
Yeah.
launching my career. And one by one, the rejections started coming in. Not good enough, start over, scrap this idea, nice try, but nope, ain't publishable. Like that was the message I kept hearing. And so what I took stock of is this whole journey of 3 years on a book that ended up nowhere. And I actually always, tell folks the moment that this dawned on me that I couldn't publish this book and all that wasted time and effort of just sitting on the floor of my apartment and just feeding the manuscript, 500 pages, big stack like this, into my shredder and just going,
You did not. You did not throw it away.
I did. I just scrapped it. I just remember I sat there and I'm like, no one wants this. And I've written a book. I've written this thing that can't go anywhere, can't help anybody, can't do anything for me, can't do anything for readers. So that experience for me was where the TAP method came from. Is that's how I figured out, okay, there has to be a better way to do this. This isn't it. I got a coach. I got mentorship. I started researching, following what other authors did. And that's where I discovered, I'm like, okay, there's 3 things they're all doing and I can see the pattern. Maybe if I do them too, I'll succeed. And that's where the TAP method was born, because the first principle was time mastery. So the T in TAP stands for time mastery. Getting a handle on time. How about we write a book in 3 months and not 3 years? That was a big awakening for me, that actually a great book doesn't have to take that long to write. And from there, I went into, okay, so time mastery is it. What about accountability? Yes, you have to be accountable. We know that. But it's not just accountable to you and what you want to say. It's accountable to your audience. What do they want to hear? That's the bigger conversation, right? So
can we pause there? How do you bridge the gap between what do I want to say versus what do they want to hear? If you're not entirely sure, who wants to hear this or read this?
Yeah, you really got to figure out who am I writing the book for? Who is my ideal reader? And what do they need most? What do they like? How can I be that voice for them? And that's really, I think, the ticket is to really start thinking from an audience point of view, from a reader's point of view. If you can do that and you can tap into their needs and wants and desires, hopes, fears, like that's where it's all happening. Because if you're just writing for yourself, then honestly, it might as well be a diary. And I know a lot of authors say that's very controversial, because a lot of authors say, I just write what I want to write. And it's like, yeah, that's great on some level. And many successful established authors have built careers off of that. But for the first time novice writer, that's not a good strategy. You want to be thinking about your audience and not solely about you, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, then we're moving on. So we have time, accountability, TAP method. P is
process. We have to master the process, the step by step. And when I was observing all these successful authors out there, these bestsellers, they understood the writing, editing, publishing process so well, they just could move through it seamlessly. And, imagine it's like a runner running a marathon. Successful runners, they know where to start, how to pace, how to time, how to finish. And it's the same with authors. They don't go into it guessing. They have the step-by-step down. So that's the TAP method in a nutshell.
How do you know when to self-publish or look at hybrid publisher or a publisher? I think the hybrid publishing is newer on the market. I think people are waiting for like the 6-figure book deal.
Yep.
How do you determine which direction to go?
I think you have to, these days, really look at a couple of factors. You have to look at speed to market. how fast you want that book to get out there, because the world of publishing tends to take a longer time than self-publishing.
Yeah.
Traditional publishing is a long road. And for a lot of folks, that's not viable. They can't wait 2-3 years for the book to come out. So you got to really look at your goals and aspirations and figure out, is that a game I want to play, or do I want to take control of my book? Like many of my authors do. They want to own everything, keep rights and royalties, publish it under their own imprint, and essentially act as their own publisher. So there's a variety of options, but knowing your goals is number one. What are you trying to accomplish with your book? How does it feed your business or your personal brand? And then let's go from there, right? Again, I specialize in helping the first-time author. So an author that's done this 5-10 books in, that could be a very different conversation. But
Right.
if it's your first book, we really need to look at all these factors, right? And make a decision that way.
Your book is called The Author's Success Code. Take you from first-time author to best-selling author in 90 days.
Yes.
90 days. That's 3 months, if my math is correct.
3 months, 13
How do you
weeks.
do that?
So for me, I did this with my first nonfiction book. And a lot of it starts with, you have to understand a great book doesn't have to take forever. And it doesn't have to be a huge, fancy, massive book, right? It doesn't have to be 100,000 words, 500, right? It doesn't have to be a massive thing for people to consume. It can be short, it can be powerful. And a lot of the books out there that are very memorable, The Millionaire Messenger by Brendan Burchard or Four
Yeah.
Agreements, or The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho, they are short little reads. These are not long books. They are short and concise and impactful. And more we see that's what readers want. So a lot of my philosophy comes down to write what readers want, keep it on the shorter side, but make it powerful. And yeah, that's where you can crunch time and really get this done quickly.
Hey, it's Allison. Thanks for listening. Do you have a podcast idea that won't leave you alone? Maybe you know a podcast could be a game changer for your brand, for your business, or your visibility, but you're stuck on where to start. Well, good news. You don't have to figure it out alone. I'm offering a free, no strings attached strategy call to help you get clear on your podcast vision and what it could do for you. No BS, no pressure, just a real conversation about turning your ideas into something powerful. If you've been waiting for a sign, this is it. Let's explore what's possible. Grab your free call now at allisonhair.com/free call. Yeah, I'm wondering about the trends. What do you see of what people want? How is it changing? What has changed? And even, audiobooks versus reading physical books and bookstore. Did you know that Barnes and Noble are reopening stores back up?
I did not know that. If they are, that is great news for all of us. That's
They're
great.
opening stores back up. So I'm really curious to see what you see. What is the world craving? Do they want fiction? Do they want an escape? Do they want shorter length, like you said? I'd love to understand the trends.
Yeah, there's different trends for fiction and nonfiction. The world of fiction, people want concise little reads. What I see is readers looking specifically into more and more niche topics or niche topics. So there tends to be a narrowing down. We call it like the niche expert book, people writing from a really particular point of view or set of experiences. And then personal development is really big. Books about how to better yourself, your life, your career, finances, all of that. Those are doing very well, and that part of the market is strong. And then with fiction, we've got pretty much anything with romance in it that's where you want to be, right? So romantasy,
Smut reads. Bring me all the smut reads.
all that stuff and people have made vast careers out of, just romantic plot lines. So that's a whole side of the fiction world. But I think readers do crave the escape. They crave the narrative. They crave the hero, the hero's journey still, of course. And so, yeah, books continue to sell, people continue to read them. Our consumption is maybe a little different, right? Because we have ebooks, we have a lot of folks love audiobooks. And that tends to be more and more something that my authors request. They're like, yep, help me produce the audiobook. People listen to the audiobook. And you can also take that asset and use it in a variety of different ways, right? You can splice it up and give little teasers and stuff like that. So the world of books is, I would say, expanding rather than contracting, right?
That's amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing.
I'm wondering about what are common misconceptions about writing a book? When people come to you, I'm sure you probably hear the same things like, I believe X, when it's not true at all. What do you typically see, and how can we set the record straight?
Well, a lot of people believe that they have to have some kind of a credential or professional experience, or they have
Yes.
to, be qualified to
Have
write the book.
letters at the end of their name. Right.
They really feel that unworthy often of writing their own book, telling their story. That's one of the biggest misconceptions. And again, the time misconception, people think it's got to take me years. I can't possibly write a great book quickly. But they underestimate the power of speed. That speed accumulates, that action taken quickly can accumulate. That momentum is powerful, especially with writing, the written word. And so people tend to not understand that when you write quickly, your ability to create just complete exponential growth. You're writing more words, you're writing faster, you're learning quicker, and it's like speed reading. It has a real tangible benefit. But folks are a little afraid of the speed conversation. They don't want to move fast.
I wonder how much of writer's block and what your thoughts are on writer's block. You know, I've had Seth Godin on this podcast, and he famously said he doesn't believe in it. And I'm wondering about your perspective on writer's block and sitting down and going, I don't know what to write.
Writer's block, I think, is a combination of things like fear, the self-doubt, and a lack of clarity on those three questions: who you're writing for, what the book is about, and why it matters. Because when you answer those questions, you have a game plan for your book and you sit down to write. Of course, you know what you're going to say. You already know, the conversation's already rolling in your head. So my writers typically don't get writer's block once they've been through the TAP method, because they already know the answers. They have their roadmap, their outline. Every time they sit down to write, they're like, I know what I'm working on. And that's the goal of my process, is to help people not even experience that journey, because it really doesn't need to be part of your journey, especially with your first book. That's not a given. We can eliminate that experience, but we have to do it with a strategy like the TAP method.
And I've heard you speak on another podcast where you had talked about a lot of first-time authors will try and edit their book while they're writing it. And that is not a good thing. Tell us why.
Yeah. So when you're writing your book, I like to say, just put on your writer's hat. Leave the editing to the editors. We are humans, most of us are not trained editors. If you're a trained editor, that's a different conversation. But if you're not, most of us are not, don't try to do two jobs at once, right? It's counterproductive. And we really want to just focus on the writing process, getting into the zone. But the editing is that self-critique. It's the constant looking for, how do I make this better? That's not the mode we want to be in when we're creating. We just want to be in that place of, let me stay focused on the story I'm trying to tell, the message I'm trying to relay. Let me get that out on the page. And then the editors are there to help you later on. But it can really slow you down if you're sitting there picking apart your work as it's being created. It doesn't work. You really have to just get in the zone and let yourself flow, let yourself create. If you can't get to that place, that's where a lot of the self-judgment and people giving up on their idea comes from, right? Because they're just, that inner critic, that voice just keeps chattering away and they can't seem to silence it. So that's a piece of it right there.
And I've read some of your reviews, like they are ridiculous, of people that have just started from nothing, full of self-doubt, where they get into a state of flow and extemporaneous writing, I guess. I'm wondering, how do you position a first-time author that may not have an audience built or a reputation really built yet? Like, how do you start to build an audience?
For me, what I did was I just shared very simply what my book was about and who I wanted to read this, who I wanted to impact with the message and the story. And spoke very honestly from the heart about what I believed and the core themes and ideas of the book. And readers came to me. So that's what I want my authors to do. I want them to share their who, their what, their why, and naturally allow readers to come to you that are interested in that. But you got to put the message out there. If you don't share what it's about, it's very hard to attract that audience and those readers that are right for you. And I also tell them, look, if you're thinking your book is for anybody, everybody, anyone,
Yes.
like let's get rid of those words because it's not.
Yeah.
It's for a very specific person. Let's talk to them, right?
And what about if you're introverted and don't really feel confident going on LinkedIn or social media? What do you do in those cases?
That's an interesting one. We've had a lot of authors that are introverted and shy, and they feel that that's not like their primary way they want to communicate. But if you got something you believe in, then you got to get behind it, and you've got to kind of get over those tendencies and talk to your people, talk to your readers. I'm introverted. I'm a very introverted person, and when I write, I like to be in my little zone, my little place. But I also recognize that I have to share and communicate my message, or I won't be able to help other people. I won't be able to get my books and teachings out there. So you kind of just got to get over it and do it anyway, which is not the best
Yeah.
answer, but there's a difference between, I think, personality and the things that are necessary for success.
Well, I also think when you are writing for impact, that you're writing to help others, your desire to create impact has to be greater than your fear of being judged or critiqued. And I think even beyond that, because I deal with this a lot where like you have to build a bridge for people to find you and make that bridge safe enough to cross. Like nobody wants to be the best kept secret. And especially when you have so much to offer, it is kind of a crime. And, I think people are waiting to be plucked from obscurity, that some fairy is going to come down and like, again, like Beyonce dropping an album at midnight where people are just going to be excited and tell all their friends. But you kind of have to start talking in a way that is going to make the impact. Would you agree with that, or what would you add?
I think I would add that your desire to make a difference has to be greater than your own inhibitions and the story you're telling yourself about why you're this way or why it's you're not good enough or whatever that is. It reminds me of this author we had a few years ago, and she was one of the most shy people I've ever met. Painfully shy, like getting on Zoom, putting on her camera, participating in the class. It was so hard for her. And what she would tell me is that the reason I'm doing this, it's all uncomfortable, but the reason I'm doing this is because I know this message is going to help people. I know it's going to make a difference. And she's like, I just have to get it out there. And her desire was greater. Her burning desire was greater. And she, was an older person in her 70s. And what she said was, I don't want to die with this book inside me. I don't want to leave this world knowing I had something to say and I didn't say it. So she did. She started to say it. And Allison, I mean, as a podcaster, as a host, you'll appreciate this, but this person who is so shy, she literally, to this point, she's done hundreds of podcast interviews because she believes so much in her message. So that's the kind of thing I think is really empowering is that it doesn't matter what your personality is. I think it matters what your desire is, as you're saying.
Yes. You have helped thousands and thousands of authors publish their first-time books. Tell me, what books are lighting you up right now? Like, what is super exciting to you? What are you reading? What do we need to know? Who from your group do we need to know about?
We have some amazing authors that are about to launch a lot of personal development books, a lot of books about what it takes to change your life or architect your ideal life. So we've got a lot of books in that space that are launching. I'm really enjoying I'm really enjoying memoir right now. I'm actually reading Ina Garten's memoir. I'm really loving
Yeah.
that. She's great storyteller, great example of how to, tell your life story and do it in a way that is vivid and accessible for everybody. Love Lisa Jewell on the fiction side. Love Tana French. I love mystery. I love thriller. I love suspense. Can't get enough of those books. But I think what really excites me most is that more people are willing to share their unique histories and stories and experiences on really specific topics that maybe 10 or 15 years ago you just wouldn't have seen because it
Yes.
wasn't a thing. There wasn't an audience, but you can find an audience for anything now. And that's what I think is really exciting about the book space.
That is so cool. So tell us about if somebody wants to work with you, what does it look like? What do your programs look like? How do people get in touch?
Yeah, I would say a great venture into my world is to pick up the Author Success Code, because in there you're going to hear everything I just talked about, but I go so much deeper
Yeah.
into the facets of mindset, the journey, the strategy, what it takes to succeed. And then from there, there's a bunch of awesome reader resources people can engage with. And if people are loving it so much, they want to write their book with me alongside, myself and our coaches. We have a program called Book Accelerator, which is a 90-day program from start to finish. Get your book done, get ready to publish in 90
So
days.
amazing.
It's a lot of fun. And it's really for the first time author. It's for the person who's never done this before, doesn't know where to start. And we're kind of like open arms, come into our world. We'll help you. We'll help you get started, and we'll help you do it and have fun while you're doing it.
Yeah. So for you who are listening, who has entertained the thought, or somebody has told you, you need to write a book, or you have considered, or maybe you've started to put some pages on it. Imagine like a 3-month rocket launcher where you are not alone, but you get to work with these experts that have your vested interest in helping you turn this book into an amazing piece of work or literary I don't know, masterpiece, that is available in 90 days. 90
It's a lot
days.
of
So
fun.
when this comes out, it's going to be early March. So like theoretically, you could have a book out by July, which is so amazing. You can be a published author by July. All of these ideas that you've been rambling around in your head and now you've got a system and a framework to put it in. What an incredible opportunity. Ashley, thank you so much. How do people get in touch? I'm going to link the book in the show notes and your links. You've got a big Facebook group as well. Are there other ways that people can connect with you?
Yeah, our main hub is, if you go to writingcoachla.com, you will find everything about me, the programs, our books and authors. I would head over there, check it out. And certainly, folks are welcome to join the Facebook group. It's called Author Ignite. And we do all sorts of fun, live trainings and special events for our community. Of course, we love to brag on our authors that are hitting bestseller status and getting their books out there. It's a lot of fun. So yeah, folks are welcome to join. It's a free community for authors.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Ashley. It was so great to have you. And I can't wait for my audience to get to know you and start writing their books.
Thank you, Allison. I appreciate it.
Big thanks to Ashley Mansour. If you are ready to stop letting that book idea sit on the shelf, I have got you covered. You can grab her book, The Author's Success Code, and check out her 90-day Book Accelerator program to turn that dream into a reality fast. All of the links are in the show notes as always. But what about you? If you're looking to grow your influence and use your voice in a way that truly makes an impact, what a perfect partnership with writing a book. Let's get your own brand of magic into a strategically built podcast that builds influence and relationships that change lives. I invite you to book a free clarity call with me at AllisonHare.com/free call. And if you're just window shopping, right now, but you want to dig deeper, make sure that you are on my weekly email list at AllisonHare.com/email. As always, be good to yourself so you can be better for others. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.